Engineers Welfare Forum. It is our pleasure and privilege to welcome you all to our 12th National Seminar. And as you know, that this subject is entirely new because this experience is entirely new. The use of artificial intelligence technology in thermal power stations. And of course, we are talking about not only the advantages, which are obvious, but also the disadvantages. As we all agree that in view of the enhanced competitiveness in the power generation industry, optimization of power station management, power station operation has emerged as a priority concern. And in view of this, artificial intelligence is perceived. Today we are going to go into the details, examine the various facets of the use of artificial intelligence, but it is generally perceived as a very, very powerful tool for early fault detection and diagnosis. But like everything in life, any package comes with advantages and disadvantages, and artificial intelligence is no exception. So this is a seminar which is going to happen throughout the day, and the speakers, the distinguished speakers, we are absolutely sure would give us many insights. They would examine the nitty-gritties of the operation of artificial intelligence, such a new thing, a thing with massive potential, and of course, there would be lots of takeaways for all of us at the end of the day. So with these few words, may I request the starting of the audiovisual of the Engineers Welfare Forum. Once again, Engineers Welfare Forum, in collaboration with NEED, presents this 12th seminar. Let us have a look at the activities of the Engineers Welfare Forum of West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited.
A sapling being grown into a tree and inspiring a garden around, or a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly and inspiring others for a colorful flight. Such has been the journey of our engineers, who have been the engine of our country's growth. WBPDCL is one such path paver who is lighting up lives in the nooks and corners of West Bengal. Its wing, Engineers Welfare Forum, from being a nascent body of few visionaries to a collaboration of around 600 engineers of WBPDCL, is nurturing the dreams of young enterprising engineers. They believed that together we can, and yes, together they have done it. Today, EWF stands for Engineering Inclusive Growth and Fulfilling Aspirations, whose seeds were laid in 2010. is working tirelessly towards welfare of the engineering fraternity and overall growth and prosperity of the society, and has many feathers in its big hat. PowerGenX, the flagship technical journal, chronicles all the findings and analysis, showcases the technical breakthroughs of engineers at various power plants. Prayas, flagship social event which makes an effort to cultivate minds through proper education. Training programs like Educating the Educators, drives for students including hand-holding, various workshops on inclusive learning and extracurricular activities, encouraging and mentoring of students, and also felicitation of meritorious children residing around the power stations. With year-long supply of study kits and other ancillaries, is just one part of the entire education initiatives, and EWF gives paramount importance to this attempt. NEED, or National Energy Excellence Drive. Under this umbrella, national seminars are organized every year to enrich the Indian power sector and ancillary fields on various burning topics. Research. EWF has commenced research on biomass co-firing power generation with IIT, ISM Dhanbad, and a project on artificial intelligence in association with Department of Computer Science and Technology, IIT Kharagpur. EWF is establishing technical libraries at townships of all power plants to spread the wisdom and know-how. Eatery. EWF operates catering services at remote power stations, thereby reaching home-like food to engineers deputed there. Inclusivity and growing together is their buzzword. With a determined focus on bringing new technology to optimize the power sector and benefiting society as a whole, the journey of EWF continues with renewed energy. The honorary board is led by vice chancellors, scientists and directors of reputed central universities and institutions. Team marches on with promise of a better society, inclusive growth and lighting up many lives as it roars on. The garden is in full bloom and together they are planting more seeds all around.
Thank you so much. That was a brief introduction to the Engineers Welfare Forum. And now may we request all our distinguished guests to kindly come up on to the dais. May we request Padma Shri Professor Dr. Shankhamitra Bandopadhyay, our chief guest today, Director of the Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and to come up on the dais, and joining her would be Sri Dev Kumar Gupta. May we request Sri Dev Kumar Gupta, Director, to kindly come up onto the dais, West Bengal Power Development Corporation. And we also have Mr. M. Raghuram, Director Technical DVC. Can we request you, sir, to kindly join our other distinguished guests onto the dais? And of course, we have a host of luminaries, speakers for this particular session. I would request them to join our distinguished guests onto the dais. We have Sri Engineer Rajiv Kumar Das, Dr. Shudeshna Sarkar, Engineer Ashish Dev. Has Dr. Kamal Sarkar arrived? If he's already here, we would request him to kindly come up onto the dais. Dr. Orindom Ray, can we request you, sir, to kindly come up onto the dais. Dr. Kamal Sarkar, I'm sure he would be joining us sometime in the course of the program. So, may we request Sri Debopriyo Deb, President EWF. Sri Debopriyo Mitro and Sri Shomen Das, General Secretary, President and General Secretary of EWF, to join everyone else and ask them to light the lamp to begin the program. The lighting of the lamp marking the commencement of our 12th National Seminar. Sri Debopriyo Mitro, our President, and Sri Shomen Das, our General Secretary. Sir. Can we request all of you to participate in the lighting of the lamp ceremony?
सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा
And now, of course, the felicitation of our guest, Padma Shri Dr. Shankhamitra Bandopadhyay, would now be felicitated by Shri Devopriyo Mitro, our President. Can we request our President to do the felicitation for our chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. Shankhamitra Bandopadhyay? Our Vice President, Sri Shumon Sarkar. Can we request you, sir, to come up and do the honors for Sri Dev Kumar Gupta, our Director Finance of the West Bengal Power Development Corporation. Vice President, name? Shumon. And may we request our Vice President doing the honors for our Director Finance, Shri Dev Kumar Gupta. Thank you so much. And may I request Sri Shomen Das, our General Secretary, to felicitate Mr. M. Raghuram, Director, Technical, TVC.
Dr. Odinam Roy.
আরেকজন আছেন উনি কে একদম তো না এসছেন উনি রাজীব and now may we felicitate our guest speakers. We have with us today some of the luminaries in the field of artificial intelligence, and today we would absolutely love to hear them. So we have engineer Rajiv Kumar Das with us today, Dr. Sudeshna Sarkar, engineer Ashish De, and Dr. Orindom Rai, but we are awaiting the arrival of Dr. Komol Sarkar. However, we would like to felicitate the speakers present here at this point of time. So may I request Ajit Baske, Secretary EWR in Kolaghat, KTPS, to kindly come up. Is Mr. Ajit Baske here?
Yes.
Right. So he would be felicitating engineer Rajiv Kumar Das.
শব্দ সিনা আমি জিজ্ঞেস করলাম আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করলাম
Our treasurer, Prashanto Sinha, is requested to felicitate Dr. Sudeshna Sarkar. Sri Prashanto Sinha would be felicitating Dr. Sarkar.
সন্দীপ জানা করে দিন সন্দীপ জানা হ্যাঁ মেম্বার
May I request Shundip Jana to kindly come up onto the dais. Shundip Jana, member EWF KTPS, to kindly come up and felicitate engineer আশিস দে।
অরিন্দম ঘোষাল বলবেন।
And may I call upon Sri Orindam Ghoshal, Assistant Treasurer, to kindly come up. Orindam Ghoshal would be felicitating Dr. Orindam Rai. Dr. Orindam Rai. We have done felicitation. Welcome and visit. Thank you so much. And now, may I request Engineer Prashanto Sinha, Treasurer, Engineers Welfare Forum, CEC, West Bengal WBPDCL, to kindly come up and welcome our most distinguished guests.
ঠিক আছে, আপনার প্রোগ্রাম হয়ে গেল। আসুন, আপনি দেরি করলেন।
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. A very warm welcome to the respected guests and all our renowned professors, teachers, directors, dignitaries, students, and all the employees of WBPDCL and seniors present in this seminar. On behalf of Engineers Welfare Forum of the WBPDCL, I like to extend my heartiest welcome to our distinguished guest, Dr. Shanghomitra Bandyopadhyay, Director, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata; Mr. Dev Kumar Gupta, Director, Finance, WBPDCL; Mr. M. Raghuram, Director, Technical, DVC; Dr. Sudeshna Sarkar, Professor and Head of the Department, Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur; Dr. Kamal Sarkar, Professor and Head of the Department, Computer Science and Engineering, Jadavpur University; Dr. Orindam Rai, Chief Technical Officer, Government of West Bengal. I like to welcome our speakers, Engineer Rajiv Kumar Das, CSC, from CSC, Engineer Ashish Dev, Director, Duragen Energy Private Limited. We are very happy that in spite of their daily busy schedule, they have joined this seminar. Our topic today is artificial technology in thermal power plant, its advantages and disadvantages, organized by Engineers Welfare Forum of the WBPDCL. Engineers Welfare Forum, on its mission, continuously extending their sincere efforts and indomitable endeavor to enhance the knowledge of engineers for application in their work, keeping a close observation at the socio-economic scenario and recent development of science and technology which could be adapted to thermal power generation, non-conventional energy sources, and step toward switching over to next generation greener world. It is also worth mentioning Engineers Welfare Forum is extending their hands of humanity for the upgradation of financially challenged school students of the society and also for advancement of the promising and meritorious students for their career opportunities. I don't like to elongate much. Everybody is eagerly waiting for today's seminar. Let's proceed to the main program. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And now we would like to hear a few words from our chief guest and our other distinguished guests. Professor Shanghomitra Bandyopadhyay, a very well-known personality. her focus is, of course, computer science, and she is an alumnus of Calcutta University, IIT Kharagpur, and Indian Statistical Institute. She started her first tenure as a director in 2015, and from 2020 onwards, she is doing her second tenure as the director. A very, very rare honor indeed. And the cabinets in her home are overflowing with awards. So it would be difficult to mention all of them, but let me at least mention the very, very prestigious Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in Engineering Science, and of course culminating with the Padma Shri and many prestigious awards in between. We would like to hear a few words from her, the keynote address.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and thanks a lot to WBPDCL for inviting me to the inaugural session of the seminar, dignitaries on and off the dais, and the students, guests. It's really an honor to come here and interact with the people who are actually giving us, delivering the power, the energy, electricity on which we survive. Yesterday, just for 2 minutes, the power went away, and I was at a loss. Where were the matchsticks? Where were anything else? So, and we were recalling the days when we were students, class 9, 10, 11, 12. Before dark set in, we had to clean all the chimneys and everything because power would go away, electricity would go away, there would be load shedding. But that, thankfully, is a thing of the past. And it's thanks to these organizations that we are getting these days a lot of electricity and our energy needs are met. I remember the days when I used to travel every weekend on Fridays and Mondays in the Kolkata-Kharagpur route. Around 1992-93, and when I crossed the river and crossed the Kolaghat Power Station, in the dark it would look like a giant with those lights there, and it was such a I would look forward to that sight every weekend. Kolaghat Thermal Power Station has left its impact on my psyche, because it was such a pleasurable journey, crossing the Rupnarayan and then looking at that huge giant in the dark night with those lights. It really was sort of, an awe-inspiring experience. And now I am here in WBPDCL, WBPDCL, this seminar here, the 12th seminar in its series, and a very relevant one with its focus on artificial intelligence. As we all know, we are witnessing a revolution in the era of artificial intelligence. This is a revolution unfolding in front of our eyes. And not many people really know what is artificial intelligence. They just get to hear it all the time, bombarded with the terms. It is important to know the boundaries of artificial intelligence and what it is, because I have been faced with situations where I have got our local Thana officer, local police station, the officer of the local police station coming and telling me that with AI, we should be able to help them look at images of a crime scene with a lot of blood there and tell the blood group. This is impossible. So we need to know, but when I explained to him, he said, नहीं, artificial intelligence से हो जाएगा, AI से हो जाएगा. तो नहीं होता है सब कुछ, but a lot of things are happening now and we must be aware of where we can use it fruitfully and what are the pitfalls. As you know, artificial intelligence started way back 1950s. The coin got termed, the term got coined, I'm so sorry, and there was something called a Turing test. So what was when is a machine called artificially intelligent is when it was able to pass the Turing test. And Turing test is a test where an interrogator asks questions and either a human being or a machine or a computer would answer, all in writing. And if I recall correctly, if 30% of the time the interrogator mistook the machine for a human response, the response from the machine as coming from the human being, then the machine would be termed as intelligent. It has been really difficult to prove to pass the Turing test, but there have been a lot of advances, and there has been, of course, its fair share of criticism. The Turing test had its fair share of criticism that just because it is able to fool the interrogator does not mean that it is intelligent. For example, if the computer is asked a question in Chinese and it just looks up a database and responds in Chinese, does not mean that the computer understands Chinese. That was a criticism at that time. However, things moved. There was something called neural network which got developed, and it was a bloom and a boom time for AI. And then there was a simple problem. It was proved that a very simple problem, the neural network it was called the perceptron, that could not solve a very, very simple problem, simple classification problem, where it had to distinguish between two different classes. But if the points were distributed in a particular way, then it could not solve it. And then there was a winter in the AI research. Things went down till a development happened, and it was again there were new models which were developed, where again it saw again a boom of AI. So this has been going like that, ups and downs of AI research. And right now what we are seeing is essentially the neural network, the very basic type of neural network, now with huge amount of data which is available and huge amount of computational resources which have become available, that the neural networks have become very, very powerful, because you can have a very large model with millions of parameters, and you are able to train those neural networks with humongous amount of data. And it is because of these resource requirements that a major part of the research in AI is now going on in the companies. You will see the Google and the Amazons and the big companies. A lot of AI research, a lot of AI development is happening there because they have at their command huge amount of resources, which especially the Indian academia is lacking quite a bit. So when I was invited to this particular session here, I responded that I do know a little bit about artificial intelligence and machine learning, but I have no idea about thermal power plants and how it can help. So I was just looking up a little bit, and there's a huge amount of application, a large number of applications of AI in thermal power plants, etc. And I was looking at the variety of applications. For example, a lot of optimization happens here, and my own research has been quite a bit in optimization techniques and developing something called meta-heuristics, where things like genetic algorithms, these are essentially optimization techniques, including multi-objective optimization as well as many-objective optimization. So multi-objective optimization would be where you have an optimization problem. So in general, you have a single objective which you want to optimize. You just try to see how to improve it more and more. But if you have multiple objectives, let's say you have time and cost of going from point X to point Y. You want to minimize the time and you want to minimize the cost, both at the same time. As you can see, it is rather difficult to optimize or minimize both time and cost at the same time because they conflict with each other. You try to bring the time down, the cost will go up. You try to bring the cost down, the time will go up. So how do you handle such problems? That is where multi-objective optimization comes into the picture. And I'm sure the problems in thermal power management, thermal power plant management, it's essentially multi-objective in nature. It cannot be single objective. There will be multiple objectives conflicting with each other, and what you want to come up with is a set of trade-off solutions, something which is acceptable, but a trade-off solution. Failure detection, failure prediction, preventive maintenance, the huge number of applications of different AI methods in power plants, in energy management. And this is where it's become urgent and necessary that people from the different domains of expertise come together and solve the problems. Because more and more renewables coming in, how to ensure a reliable and consistent supply of power. There, not only electrical engineers, power engineering experts, but also people from statistics, people from computer science, people from mathematics, people from mechanical engineering, people from variety of domains need to come together and solve the problems facing humanity these days. With large-scale digitalization all around, what we also need is very sophisticated round-the-clock monitoring of the activities in such systems, because these are very critical systems, and cyber monitoring is extremely important because there will be a lot of cyber warfare in the days to come, in the years to come. So cyber security has to be extremely strong, because if there's a cyber attack on a power plant, it can bring to halt entire cities, entire countries, and we've seen that happening. Even in the hospital systems, we've seen cyber attacks which has shut down the hospital, because it is now almost everything has gone digital. So we have to be very strong and keep in mind these issues. Another issue of AI, because of which its adoption has been rather limited in many real-life domains, is its lack of transparency, lack of explainability, accountability. If something goes wrong, if the algorithm is giving out some erroneous results, then who is to be held responsible? So explainability is very poor. That is why, especially in the domain of healthcare, adoption of AI to the extent desirable has been not evident. It's because the medical fraternity, medical experts, they don't want to hear just that, okay, this person is suffering from so-and-so disease, but they want to know why the system is giving a particular result. So explainability is very important. A lot of research is going on, and we hope in the years to come, the AI system will become much more explainable to the layman, to the users. So to conclude, you see, as with any development, artificial intelligence development or AI tools are as good or as bad as the hands and the minds that use it. It has become very important now to not only do research in AI, but also to look at the legalities, the regulations that has to guide AI research. And in fact, the proponents of deep learning, the main things that we are seeing, main developments we are seeing today, they themselves are at a loss now. They are not very sure how the AI research should proceed and progress. There is a international call, that maybe it's time now to halt AI research for some time, put the regulations in place, and then move ahead, which we know that it is impossible to actually stop a research. It's like water, it will continue in the way that it has to. So AI research will continue. We have to be very careful how we use it, but the benefits, if we can really tap into it, are very huge. I end by just wishing the Employees Forum and WBPDCL the very best. May you generate more power, may you have more power, and may you bring lights to many more homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and thank you for putting so beautifully in perspective the pros and cons of AI. We have just been joined by Dr. Komol Sarkar. May we request you, sir, to kindly come up onto the dais, and may I request Shri T.M. Joardar, advisor of our forum, EWF of West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited, to kindly felicitate Dr. Komol Sarkar. Dr. Sarkar being felicitated by Shri T.M. Joardar, advisor, EWF, West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited. We would now request brief messages from our other distinguished guests. May I request Sri Dev Kumar Gupta, our Director of Finance of West Bengal Power Development Corporation Limited, to say a few words. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar, good morning. It is my proud privilege to share the dais with such distinguished dignitaries. It is also my good luck to share Sunday morning with all my colleagues from the plants. When I go to the plants, I get to spend very little time with all of you because we are typically in meetings related to my department. So here, on an engineering subject, it will be a huge learning process for me. And I'm sure along with you, we will all gain immensely from this session. I would like to thank the forum for selecting such a current and important topic. Not being an engineer, of course, I cannot comment on the technical aspects, but I can tell you from the finance point of view that today in the US stock markets, the market leader is an AI-focused company with a capitalization of $2 trillion. So we can also understand the importance of AI globally and to India in future. However, there is a flip side which I keep hearing, that AI will take away millions of jobs. So that is going to cause disruption in industries and economies across the world. However, the advantages, I am sure, outweigh this negative aspect of AI. And what I understand as a layman is that for our engineers, if you can adapt yourselves to embracing this technology, many of you can move away from the doing function to the planning and strategizing function. And this will enhance your outlook and capabilities also. So let us hear our distinguished speakers and try to take away a lot of learning from them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And may we now request Mr. M. Raghuram, Director, Technical DVC, for his address.
Good morning, distinguished guests on the dais, off the dais, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. I stand before you on the 12th National Seminar organized by Engineers Welfare Forum, WBPDCL, to discuss the profound impact of artificial intelligence in thermal power stations. Having completed almost 36 years of my life in power plant operations, maintenance, erection, commissioning, we have gone through several phases. We have seen several developments in the era of this time period. You know, what is our basic, as a power engineers, our basic motto is to provide quality and reliable power supply to all our consumers, whether it's industrial or domestic consumers. without power, without electricity, the development cannot take place. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना जो basic 3 needs in the life we used to tell, roti, kapda और मकान. Now the 4th need has been, it is bijli. We require electricity for everything, whether it is hospital, whether it is school, whether it is normal day-to-day life, electricity के बिना कुछ नहीं हो सकता. So the way the power demand is growing up in the country, we are almost touching 10 to 12% growth rate. So such a vast growth rate. Already this year we have seen almost peak demand of 244 billion units. That is very alarming and very, I can say, encouraging also, because we met the demand. As power engineers, we met the demand. And today you can see, as madam was telling, हम लोग के बचपन में 6:30-7 बजे के पहले सब खाना पीना खत्म करके सोने के होता था. And we used to light lanterns and to read the further. आजकल तो ऐसा तो नहीं है. 24/7 power supply तो है. For ensuring the reliable power supply and quality power supply, the artificial intelligence will be a big help to us. Because how do you ensure reliable power and quality power? First, we need to ensure the availability of the plants, availability of the units. The units should operate reliably, continuously, and 24/7 basis. Then we need to operate them efficiently, because every rupee, every paisa counts. Whatever thermal power plants, if you say the coal is the basic input, what is the basic input? You can say human resources. Every paisa counts. Whatever the input we give and what profits we are getting out, at what efficiency we are operating these plants, all these things count. And how do you operate efficiently and effectively? We need to have predictive maintenance technologies and condition assessment technologies, and these will all be done with the help of the AI, which is already in full swing, I can say. We come across various companies who provide these type of service, asset management systems, predictive maintenance technologies, all sort of things. So these definitely artificial intelligence is going to help us in these aspects. Secondly, AI enhances energy production by optimizing combustion processes. That's what I was telling. The coal is a very precious commodity as in today. And you can see RE also, we are tremendously growing in renewable energy. And it is during the day, you can see the sunlight is bright and we are getting the wind power also into the system. So our thermal power plants has to come back onto the technical minimum load. दिन में technical minimum load, रात को peak load. You can see the way power plants has to operate. What is the life-threatening aspects to these power plants? Because all the power plants, there is a design aspect is with the base load operations. Thermal power plants की बात कर रहा हूँ. Other than that, hydel power plants, they gas turbines, they can meet the peak load demands. But the normal load, base load, which is the crux of the issue, is the thermal power plants are meant for operating in the base load. However, the need of the hour is with the induction of this RE during the day, power plants come back onto 55% as on today. But we are talking about bringing them to 40% technical minimum load. Operating power plant at 40% technical minimum load is extremely unthinkable few years back. Now with the help of AI, we are at least started thinking, yes, we need to operate these power plants in 40%. And there may be a day, we may have to operate 2 shifts. 2-shift operation may also be there. So with such type of requirement, AI will definitely help us in these aspects. And then on the flip side, we must be aware that the technology comes with some sort of threats. Mainly, as madam was telling, it is cyber security. Because now artificial intelligence opens up the gate So we need to protect our systems from these cyber attacks. So this needs to be borne in mind while using these technologies. Another aspect is considering the potential job loss. I don't think so much. I will not agree with this, because we have seen how the technology advances during the years, and job opportunities are growing. Nobody is getting, ऐसा तो नहीं हुआ कि job किसी का चला गया. Some form of other development gives the jobs, whether it is with the help of AI हो या किसी से भी. But we need to train the people. That is most important aspect. The need of the hour is training the people to meet the requirement. हम लोगों को market में the required technical people should be available, required trained people should be available, for which we need to impart training in these areas. Then nothing will be difficult on this. So in conclusion, while the advantages of incorporating AI into thermal power station are evident and increasing efficiency, sustainability, we must navigate the challenges with caution from cyber attacks. Striking the balance between harnessing the potential of AI and addressing associated risks is key to ensuring the resilient and future-ready energy sector. I thank WPDCL and Engineers Welfare Forum for giving me opportunity to say a few of these words. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Our speakers, the most distinguished speakers present here today, would have individual presentations after the short commercial break that we would have. But before that, can we request all of you to kindly give us brief messages for our encouragement. So I would like to start with Engineer Rajiv Kumar Das.
I must thank PDCL Engineers Welfare Forum for conducting such an important topic. Artificial intelligence, it is required in every sector of power system, be it generation, transmission or distribution. I am from distribution. Later on I will talk in one of the application of AI in distribution sector. But to my mind, I think that we should more concentrate on power generation, because you see the most of the price we pay, everybody we pay for electricity, 2/3 or more than 2/3 goes to generation cost. So more we concentrate on generation, maybe through AI application, more will be beneficial for the consumers and the society as well. Thank you. I shall talk on the forecast part later on.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sudeshna Sarkar.
It's very heartening to see the Engineers Welcome Forum and NEED organize this seminar. I have briefly corresponded with Engineers Welfare Forum in the last few years, and I'm very, it's wonderful to see their energy and their their interest and hunger for understanding the technology and try to see how it can impact this sector. And it's good to see many young students. And I welcome you all, and I hope that you all will be coming, looking at the frontiers of technology, and also try to acquire deep domain knowledge so that you can fruitfully utilize technology for the different sectors that you will like to work in. I wish this a good success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Engineer Ashish De.
A very good morning to all, and I congratulate this Welfare Forum and WBPDCL for organizing this a very futuristic aspect, that AI in thermal power plant. I being a power engineer, power plant background, so know about this power plant, but there is a huge opportunity, huge area where we can inculcate or introduce this AI. So this forum, I think, will be a very, very big learning platform for all of us, and we can think of that. And I think in the future, we can have implemented these learnings in our individual stations, and as a whole, the power sector will gain a lot from this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kamal Sarkar.
Hello. AI is just you think, imagine the time before the electricity, and today I think according to the Andrew Young, the AI is a new electricity. I mean, the electricity, before electricity, you think about the industry, and the electricity has transformed the industry in very ways. Now the AI is a new electricity, and AI is going to change the industries, even the electricity industry or power industry also in a different ways. So I have a presentation in this session after the commercial break, and in my presentation I will try to highlight how the power generation cost can be reduced by applying the different types of AI techniques. I think it is more important for us. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Arindam Rai.
Yeah, very good afternoon to all of my students over there, officials and respected dignitaries present over here. Today we'll be discussing about this artificial intelligence. And prior to that one, I'll thank to all of you, because it's a multidisciplinary subjects, because a number of different disciplines are clubbed together to implement this kind of methodologies, techniques and all. So I will give the detail in our technical sessions. Thanks to you, patience and take it, and thanks to all of you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now there is going to be the formal release of the 12th edition of our annual technical journal, which is called Power Gen XT. This is going to be the volume 12. So copies of the journal would be presented to all of you on the dais, and can be sort of simultaneously unwrap it, marking the formal release. And our President, Sri Debopriyo Mitra, and Sri Shomen Das, our General Secretary, can we request you, and Sri Shomi Chandra Rai, ED Project, to kindly come up on the dais. And let's wait for the three gentlemen representing the Engineers Welfare Forum to kindly come. And for photographic purpose, I think if we all kind of stand up and really, unwrap it, it would come better. Our President, Sri Debopriyo Mitra, our General Secretary, Sri Shomen Das, Sri Shomi Rai, our ED Project. The 12th volume of Power Gen XT, our technical journal. Thank you so much. And with that, we come to the close of the inaugural session. The speakers would have presentations after the commercial break. Meanwhile, we are going to have a audio visual on behalf of our sponsors, Bengal Naturals. So can we request all of you to take your seats in the auditorium? Thank you so much.
Now we shall start on discussing energy demand forecasting through applications of AI, artificial intelligence. So for the benefit of students, so let us see how is the power system. On top there are generations, mostly large generating stations, then connected with extra high voltage transmission lines. Then it goes to distribution system. In most of the cases, distribution companies or licensees, they receive power at lower voltage, 33 kV, 33,000 volts and below. However, in few cases, they also receive power at extra high voltage, 132 kV or 220 kV, etc. Now this demand forecasting is essential for development of transmission and distribution sector as well as generation. I already mentioned in the morning, it is more important to the generation system since majority of the cost towards average cost of supply to a consumer, 2/3 plus goes to generation. Now, distribution sector, it is the most challenging sector because you see generating company, they sell power to one or few distribution companies. Again, transmission, they supply, they receive power from generation, few generation, and they supply to one or more distribution companies. But the challenge is on distribution because they supply to millions. Now, some of the challenges is from the right side, managing demand and generation. Electricity demand and generation has to be balanced. Now, because of climate change, more and more RE sources are coming. As of now, in pan-India basis, if we see the total renewable generation capacity is 100 gigawatt plus out of 400 gigawatt. Giga means thousand of megawatt. With more and more RE sources, challenges are more because you see on demand side, we do not have any control. We means from a distribution company because it depends on consumers. The demand is balanced by controlling the generation. But now the problem is, now generations are uncontrollable. Renewable sources like solar and wind, they are uncontrollable. And we call it must-run generating stations. Whenever sun is there, it will generate. Whenever wind is there, it will generate. They are free to generate. So it is a challenge. Now, generation is uncontrollable, load is uncontrollable, then who will control the system? Moreover, distributed energy sources, small distributed energy sources like rooftop solar, they are coming up. You must have heard that the government of India, there is a plan for 1 crore house rooftop solar on 1 crore 10 million houses plus. So it will have larger impact on the power system. So now the importance is on focus should be on forecasting. We need to do the forecasting as accurate as possible so that the demand and supply is balanced. Now, this is the demand pattern in any distribution system. It's a daily pattern. During early morning hours, there is a dip. There is one peak during daytime. We call it morning, say at about 11. Then there is evening peak. This is the standard feature throughout the year. Only in case of peak summer days, say May or early June, so during that time, we see the peak occurs during afternoon, not in evening, because of air conditioner loads. So this is the pattern. It is not that every day this pattern will follow. This is the in a week, pattern in a week. Again, during Sunday or holiday, this is the pattern. And during every day, there is a change in pattern. But there is a weekly pattern. Now, if you see the every month data, again, seasonal pattern is there. Say during May, June, system peak occurs. Then July, August, there is a lower demand. Again, September, October, higher demand. Then November onward, particularly in January, demand is very low in this part of this country. And there is a pattern, annual pattern. Every year, there is a growth of electricity demand. There are many factors. The primary factor is sales, energy sales. It's a demand forecasting. There is two kinds. One is peak power, another is energy. Energy is relatively stable. Energy means it is the entire demand, peak demand under a curve. And peak demand is only one peak demand. So, with energy, this is the primary requirement for forecasting. Energy. Then consumer number. We see how the consumer number is growing and whether there is any growth of per consumer over the years. Then there is another component, distribution loss. Load factor is another component. Load factor is the ratio of peak demand or average demand to peak demand. Whether there is any change over the years, whether there is any change during months, we need to check with that. Then other like infrastructure, whether there is any new infrastructure development in the particular area, metro rail or industrial hub or new township, these affect the demand forecasting. Now weather, as I said that during May, when summer peaks, so demand also peaks. So demand depends on temperature, more on fill factor. How do we feel? How is the temperature? Then humidity, rainfall, events, whether Durga Puja or a strike or Holi, so it affects. Then government policies, technology advancements like smart grid, electric vehicle, we expect a change in demand pattern with lot of electric vehicles in the system. Then any other energy efficiency program, sometime back government has undertaken Vachat Lamp Yojana. Sometime back, so government took the initiative to replace the CFL, to replace the incandescent bulbs with CFL. So thereafter another program to replace all the lamps or bulbs by LEDs. Now we see only LEDs. So these are the programs, and it has effect on demand forecasting. A tariff, of course, say if there is sudden or if there is any implementation and change in tariff, so time of day tariff, for gradually it will be implemented, we understand. Now it is, most of the cases it is optional, time of the day tariff. So gradually it will be implemented for all industrial, then commercial, maybe sometime for domestic as well. So with that, there will be change in demand pattern. And other economic factor also have some role in forecasting, though at present we don't see much, but how is the growth of GDP, state or national? Now this is the RE sector. RE sector, you see, it is growing very fast. The yellow line, solar, and blue line is wind. Wind is not much because you see now wind is waiting for advancement in offshore projects. I mean inside the sea. Till date, most of the wind power plants are on land. But in outside world, in advanced countries, they have gone for offshore wind. So when offshore wind will be more economically viable for our country, then we'll see again large growth in wind sector. But at present, it has grown initially, but now it is more or less flat. But solar is growing at a very fast rate. Again, because of economics. So all know economics will do. Price is low, so solar is growing. Now you see in managing in operation of distribution system, the distribution company has to schedule what will be the demand in next day for every 15-minute time block. Say from 12 to 12:15, 12:15 to 30, every 15 minute we have to give schedule. We have to forecast that this is our demand and how much power will import from different sources. If there is any deviation from the projection, there could be penalty on the distribution company. Now distribution company, almost all the distribution company, they have long-term agreement with generating companies. Say for here in West Bengal, WBPDCL, they have long-term power purchase agreement with say PDCL, WBPDCL, and almost about 80% power they procure from generating companies like PDCL under long-term agreement, and balance they buy from others, maybe through exchange. Now there are exchange means market. There is a market where electricity is, you can buy electricity or you can sell electricity if you have surplus. Now that rate of electricity in the market, every day, every time it is changing. During morning hours, it touches 10 rupee, that is the cap. During daytime, it is as low as say 2 rupee or 2 rupee 50 paisa. Again, during evening hours, it touches 10 rupee. So every day, maybe there may be some variation. Since, as I said, 20% power we buy from mostly from the market, then we have to be very careful about this rate. We have to project our demand accurately so that our power procurement is optimum, because ultimately it will go to the consumers and it is not easy to buy power at any rate at our will and raise it through increasing tariff of the consumers. It is very difficult. So we have to be very careful about the projection, demand projection, how much we'll get it from our own long-term sources and how much we'll buy it from the market. Now these are the intermittent, as I said, the generation from solar and wind that are unpredictable, intermittent. No, I should not say unpredictable, but they are intermittent. See, solar or wind, both are highly intermittent. Now there is another mechanism in getting power from other sources other than the embedded generation. So we have to give a schedule that this much I will draw from outside. And in actual, if there is any deviation, I have to pay as per the rate deviation. We call it a rate, say deviation settlement mechanism rate. Again, that rate is fluctuating daily over the day, week. If we cannot predict to the possible accurately, so again we have to pay penalty for this deviation settlement mechanism. So traditionally we do the demand forecasting with growth in cells in different tariff categories. Tariff categories means there is this domestic, there is commercial, there is industrial, agricultural, street light, etc. These are the defined categories. How the sales is growing over these categories over the years. Then we fit a trend. With that trend, we see how the total sales will be. Then we apply losses, then we apply load factor, etc. And we see the demand. That is the traditional method. Here in India, we have Central Electricity Authority. So, and there is, led by CA, there is Electric Power Survey Committee. So they do periodically, they do this demand forecasting for all the DISCOMs, distribution companies, for the state, for the region. Region means for eastern region, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, etc. forms a region, like there are 5 regions in the country and for the entire country. So this exercise is done by CA at a regular interval. Last time it was done for projection for the period financial year 22 to 32. So this is the report for West Bengal WBPDCL. West Bengal, major supply is provided by WBPDCL. There are other companies like my company, CESC is there, then IPCL is there, and also DVC is there. But this is projection done by Electric Power Survey in 20th, in last projection. So this is the traditional projection we do. This is the growth for all the categories. Now, short term, as I said, that short term projection is every day we have to project what would be the demand for next day for 15-minute time block. This is very important. So on the basis of that, we buy power, we procure power from different sources, and if we deviate, we have to pay penalty for it. Now, there are scopes, there are tools that we can apply AI technology for demand forecasting. For annual forecasting, AI may be applied, but my feeling is it is not that important. More important is to do day-ahead projection. The basic data is past time data on demand, 15-minute time block, maybe for last few years. Some experts say that more the data, more merrier. And some experts say that if you use more data, so there could be some garbage. Now, with that demand data, we can predict. If we add other variables like, say, temperature, fill factor, if we have that data, then prediction will be more accurate, provided we have captured the past trend in relation with temperature as well. Not only the demand, the past trend, not only the demand, but also other factor that I mentioned, temperature, fill factor, etc., how it is related in the past. If we can do it, then the prediction will be more accurate. So variables are becoming more. Last we did only on energy or etc. So now demand for every 15-minute time block, again it is linked with temperature, again it is linked with other events. So things are becoming more and more critical. And there are techniques. So AI is a broad term. Under that umbrella of AI, there is one term is machine learning. Under machine learning, then again deep learning. Now we can apply these deep learning techniques. There are I am not expert on. It is more on statistics and a little bit on computer science. I am not aware about statistics, so I only know the methods. So we have also tried this method. I am not saying that it is a foolproof, because it is a continuous learning approach. So deep learning, so there are algorithms are there. So some techniques we are trying to apply. So multi-layer perception, NLP, RNN, then long short-term memory, LSTM, then gated recurring unit, etc., etc. These are the methods that we can apply for forecasting purpose. Day-ahead forecasting every 15-minute time block. So 96 data, at least we want to have accurate forecast. Now, some of the methods, MLP, so there are input layer through which we give data, and there is hidden layer where calculations are done, and there is output layer. Some method they give us a fixed, like say maybe image processing. So the computer has so many images, say for this any mobile phone. So I have given so many images from so many angles. So then it understands that yes, it is me. And whenever I show my face on this mobile phone, then it opens, otherwise not. So this is a sort of artificial intelligence built in the mobile phone. Then there is recurrent neural network. So it is it input, then output, then again it sees the output with past data, it compares whether there is any error, then again it tries to reduce the error, then again it gives the output after some iterations. One method, we call it RNN. The problem with RNN is it does the work more on recent data, not on past data. So this is one approach. We can do it for short-term forecasting. Maybe it is good, but when it is checking with, say, quite past time data, suppose some time back recently there is no rain, but rain has occurred few months or some time back. So it has to draw data from that day. So there RNN may have a problem. Then again LSTM, long short-term memory, etc. This again another method where it also takes data from past and gives adequate weightage. It does its calculation on its own so that the error is minimum. Then again another is gated recurring unit, another method where if there is any outlier, so it controls the outliers. And error should be minimum. And somebody may say, what should be the error? What should be the error? These are packages available in the market, mostly used by the advanced countries in US, in Europe, etc., etc. Maybe in our country somebody may use it. I'm not aware about it, but it is available in the market. Now error we call it in statistical term is MAPE, mean absolute percentage error. You see, somebody may say that yes, how much error is acceptable? Say for a distribution company like CSE or WBPDCL. So ACDCL, say demand of ACDCL is, let us assume 100. So 80 megawatt it is getting from WBPDCL under long-term agreement, and 20% it gets from, say, exchange and external sources. That power is coming from outside sources through interstate transmission system, not only through WBACTCL transmission system, state transmission. Now, let us assume that somebody may say that, okay, 5% error is acceptable. So 5% means 5. Now, WBACTCL is importing power using ISTS network 20. And if his error is 5 out of 20, how much error? 25%. It is huge. And if error is 25%, then in that event, the distribution company may have to pay penalty even at the rate of 20 rupees per kWh. So for WBACTCL, 5% may not be acceptable. Generally speaking, 2-3% is okay. I know that some exercise has been done in our country, in Delhi, and in outside, in say Thailand, they are working on it. They may use some of these softwares for projections, day-ahead projections. Of course, this deep learning, it will help. Moreover, with more and more solar and wind, we need accurate projection. But the only issue is that whether we need to understand whether it is transparent or not, whether everything we are putting in the machine and it is giving us output, whether it gives us confidence or not. So that is important. And there are challenges, like one is cost is there. We have to have more and more data. That means cost. We need to get data from meteorological departments. Now there are websites also. We can purchase data. Then software, hardware, then adequate knowledges, manpower we require for this. So these are the challenges. And there are some other uses that we expect for this technology. Of course, demand forecasting is there. Then other things are coming up which are already prevalent in outside the world. Demand response. Then it is discussed in the morning about maintenance, predictive maintenance. We can use it. We can use it for automated demand, automated distribution system, distribution management system. We call it ADMS. So there are scopes for using this, other scopes for using this. These are the technologies. I think that's all from my side.
Thank you so much. And now may we call upon Dr. Sudeshna Shotkar. Dr. Shotkar is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and the Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence at IIT Kharagpur. She had earlier served as head of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering and chairperson of the Center of Excellence in Artificial Intelligence. She had graduated with BTech in Computer Science from IIT Kharagpur, MS from the University of California, Berkeley, and PhD also from IIT Kharagpur. Her research interests are in natural language processing and text mining, and in artificial intelligence and machine learning applications. We welcome Dr. Sudeshna Shotkar.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. I'm happy to be here. So I will talk about some machine learning paradigms which could be used for thermal power plants. So I will like to confess up front that I don't know much about the operation of thermal power plant. Rather, I don't know. But, I know a little bit about AI and machine learning. So I will talk about some potential, this thing. So before I start, I'd like to just know a little bit about your background. How many of you have a background of basic machine learning or artificial intelligence? If you could raise your hand. Okay, not everybody. And how many of you have some background on thermal power plants? Everybody. So good. We have complementary this thing. But, this will be a very basic talk. So all of us know, I'll keep this brief, that AI is a system for building intelligent agents. And today we see that AI is used in every sphere of activity because we want to augment what we are capable of doing to increase our efficiency and to be able to do things more efficiently than we can do. And because of this, AI has been ubiquitous in every field. And especially today we will talk about machine learning, which is the ability to learn from data. So typical process is that you have some data from which you learn and you get a model, and that model is used for inferencing and reasoning. Very simplistic view, but we'll just start with that. Now, in a power plant, again, please pardon me for my lack of knowledge about power plants sufficiently, but in general, in any manufacturing plant or power plant or chemical plant, where can machine learning or AI make a difference? We want higher quality output. Maybe that's not so much relevant, maybe, to a power plant, but definitely you want increased efficiency, you want to reduce cost, and you need to stick to the norms, whether it's of emission control, reduce wastage, and so on. So these are some of the places where AI can be used, and these are some examples which one can think of possibly. For example, the input. One has to look at what type of input to do to achieve efficient operation and cleaner combustion. Then how to do process control or optimize the process by deciding what set points for the process parameters to use, so that the power plant can, or any plant can, work efficiently. And last Mr. Ashish, Mr. Rajiv Das, and many people talked about different requirements that one has, and for that one has to optimize the process parameters to meet the demand requirements or many other norms. Then you need to do emission reduction. And of course, we had a talk on demand forecasting and management of energy, for which this sort of technology is used. And in the morning, many people have talked about predictive maintenance in order to detect when you should have some component for maintenance. And then industrial safety. So in an industrial environment, to see that there are no to inspect autonomously, especially in hard to access places, and to detect early that something is going to fail, or there's some accident might not happen, etc. Then autonomous inspection using image recognition. These are some of the few of those areas where machine learning and AI can be directly used in a thermal power plant, and there are many more things. This is just a model in my, of possibly a data-driven plant operation overall. So there's a plant. The typical path is the yellow path, where you have the observation, experience of the operators, and human decision making. On the other hand, if you have data-driven plant operation, you would have sensors which will collect the data, historically a lot of data under different conditions, and have an AI ML system which analyzes data and try to take a decision. Of course, that's the full automatic path. But what people try to do, and some speakers have mentioned about it, try to build a model of the plant or any component that you are going to model, what is called today very popularly as digital twin, so that based on the data, you can build a twin of the system on which you can try to see how it will work under different conditions and do different types of analysis. Now, if you talk about these different applications, they are fueled by data. And today, everywhere, in every industry, in every walk of life, even in our personal lives, everybody wants to collect data, and everybody wants to get benefit from data. And definitely in any plant, data is extremely useful to be able to use the data to build intelligent systems. And this has been facilitated by the rise of IoT and different types of sensors, and capture the different types of data, both structured data in terms of the different models, their different parameters, etc., and also unstructured data like images, video, text, etc., and utilize them for machine learning. Now, this is a very basic machine learning model flow. You have data, and then given a task at hand, you identify features which are relevant for that task. So extract the features or identify features from experts and build models on those features. Now, so the data, once you understand what is important about the data, so you can extract those features, or you can try to get derived features from those features. And the feature choice will initially may depend on the understanding of the experts in that domain. So they can be structured as well as unstructured and use relevant features. I may make some mistakes or a lot of mistakes in talking about power plants, but probably, according to some literature which I quickly studied, these could be in some tasks of a power plant relevant to a power plant. You can think of these as features like coal flow rate, steam flow, steam temperature, main steam temperature, reheat steam temperature, steam inlet pressure, exhaust temperature, composition of exhaust, boiler temperature, and so on. So depending on the process that you are trying to model, you have to identify what features are relevant. And then you have to acquire those features. And as we saw that we can use IoTs and sensors to collect the data. Sometimes, this is one thing that, one of my colleagues, we have been talking about at some point, is that sometimes it may not be possible, it may be too costly to deploy very precise sensors which can collect, very good features, very good quality features. But one can also have a lot of low quality sensors which are cheaper, and even try to get whatever data one can have. As I said, you can image, text, any type of sensor, so that you have a lot of data and try to get value from that data. Some of the processes, for example, the operation of the plant, as we saw, is also a sequential process. So it's not just at a point you decide some input or some parameters and you get the output, that's the end of the story. It's a sequential process. And the data that one has to collect should be the time series data. And also in the operation of the plant, it's also a sequential process. And one has to look at machine learning paradigms which can continuously control the system. So this is the first part, is the feature extraction. Then, depending on the task, one has to choose a model. And the type of the model one chooses will depend on the nature of the task. So in the power plant, it's not just the task of having the plant operation. There are many, many different types of tasks, like inspection of something, visual, so many types of tasks. And depending on the nature of the task, one will choose some model. Some examples of basic machine learning models are like linear regression or decision tree, different types of graphical models, neural networks, deep neural networks, and so on. Now, with this basic background, I will talk about the basic machine learning paradigms in general. And possibly you can suggest, or you can think of what type of task relevant to a power plant they can be used for. So one basic type of machine learning paradigm is the supervised learning paradigm. In the basic case, what you have is you have different instances, and for each instance you have the input features, so the input parameters, and the output. And you collect data about that. This is called labeled data. And then you build a model so that given the input, the model can predict the output. Okay, for example, suppose you are doing demand forecasting. So, the previous speaker talked about some of the parameters which dictate what is the demand, whether it is the time of the day or the season or, other things, weekday, etc., temperature, humidity, whatever is the parameters required. So you can collect the parameters and you can have data about different time slots, and you know that historically that was the demand in those days, and from that you can build a model. Then we have unsupervised learning, where you have a lot of data but you do not have any labels. So this is called unsupervised learning, and there are different types of unsupervised learning. One common type of unsupervised learning is called clustering, and there are other types of unsupervised learning which try to form the model of the data. Then the third paradigm, which is also very useful, is the paradigm of reinforcement learning, which is especially useful when you have a continuous system. So you have you have an interaction, the system interacting with the environment continuously, and it's not just at a point you decide what is the output, but you have to take sequential action to decide the optimum policy. And we'll talk a little bit about these models now. So there's also semi-supervised learning, where you have some labeled data and a lot of unlabeled data. Now, so in supervised learning, which is the very basic form of machine learning, basic paradigm of machine learning, what you have is training data in forms of features, instances, where you have features and the output for every instance. And you have to find a function f, which given any xi can predict yi. Okay. So, I went through some of the few recent papers in this domain. So I'll just not talk about the full details about it, but this is one task that we came across. So, which is modeling the power production. So you want to know that given these inputs, how much power will be produced. So this is a very simple example, very standard example of machine learning, which can be applied to a power plant. So the features that they use is coal flow rate, main steam flow, main steam temperature, reheat steam temperature, etc. So these are some of the features which dictate what is the production of power. And in this particular work, they have used some machine learning methods, like one machine learning method is a support vector machine. And then one type of deep learning using an extreme learning machine, and a statistical methodology called response surface methodology. They have used this different machine learning methods, and they have applied on this task. And then they have seen that when they take data and they use a machine learning model is a little complex, I'm not going into the details, but the basic machine learning model is this. And they are able to demonstrate that there are certain key performance indices relevant to this power production task, and they're able to show that with respect to these performance indices, such as fuel flow rate, thermal efficiency, power plant heat rate, and the emission discharge, they are able to show that by building this model and using this model, they're able to improve on these tasks. So this is a demonstration that, so they had a particular task, which is efficient power generation with some net zero goal. And they also look at not only the production but also the regulations about these emissions, etc. And they're able to demonstrate that by using this machine learning model, they're able to get better efficiency. The second paradigm, so there are other examples of supervised learning. For example, there are a lot of people, tasks in manufacturing plants, I'm sure in power plants, there's a lot of case of using object recognition. So suppose, again, I do not know much about the plant, but there are different components. You want to understand whether a component is in the right state or not, or, if there are different states of a particular object. So people often use computer vision as a classification task to detect the state of an object or detect the presence of objects. So these are all supervised classification tasks. Then let's look at an example of unsupervised learning or clustering. So what is clustering? Clustering is one form of unsupervised learning. It's a form where one takes data which is not labeled and tries to find patterns in the data and find the main groups in the data. So group similar objects. And you can think of one application of clustering for anomaly detection. Suppose you have you have a lot of data of the normal operation of a plant. And then you apply clustering to find the different patterns. And you want to understand when there is some problem, right? And the main problem with understanding this is that the failure cases are very limited. So people who want to do, predictive maintenance, etc., the typical problem that they come across is that there are very few examples of failure cases, lot of examples of normal cases. This is where unsupervised learning is very useful, because if you take the normal cases and build a normal model, or in the case that there are different scenarios, you can find the major clusters or groups. Then if you find that your current data is not falling into any of these clusters, it means this is an anomalous data, or this is perhaps some problem is going to happen. So you can flag. So unsupervised methods are very useful for abnormality detection and to understand probably something is wrong. Probably this system is looking different or behaving differently than what normally does. And for that, this paradigm of unsupervised learning is very useful. So, as I said, anomaly detection using clustering, where you can look at the normal samples and characterize them in some way, either by clusters or by building a model. There are different unsupervised methods using normal machine learning or deep learning to build a model. Nowadays, there are lots of autoencoders and different, generative models, which can take the data and build models. And then you can find out if your data deviates from the model. So I found this paper, which talks about anomaly detection of power plant equipment using LSTM-based autoencoder neural networks. And what they have done is that they look at the time series data of the power plant operation, and based on this, they construct a normal model. And they use an LSTM autoencoder to try to find out whether the current data deviates from this normal model to find the anomaly. So this is a very important use case. The last type of paradigm I'll talk about today is the reinforcement learning paradigm. So reinforcement learning, you have the agent or your system which is interacting with the environment continuously. So at a particular time, the agent takes an action and then you get the output from that action. You get through your sensors and you take the next action. So it's not just one sort of parameters that you have to choose, but you have to continually interact with the environment. And in a plant, this is what happens. Okay. And so agent take action, which the system takes action which impacts the environment. And based on this, you perceive through your sensors how the environment is reacting. And based on your objectives, you also set up your cost function or reward function. So what is it that, whether it's a production or emission, so based on that, you set your rewards or penalties to decide how good they are. And the system works over a time. So this is the paradigm of reinforcement learning. And I saw a very nice paper which was published in AAAI, which is one of the premier AI conferences last year, which used reinforcement learning on the production of a thermal power plant. deployed in some large power plants in China, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So in this work, what these people have done is that they have taken up the task of optimization of the combustion efficiency of a thermal power generating unit, which they call a TPGU. And they want to optimize this. And these are the steps that they have done. So they have collected the data. Now the data, the problem with data collection is that you only get data about what has happened. So the data typically may not contain all possible scenarios, right? And it is difficult. Typical reinforcement learning, there are ways where you can experiment with the system so that you can get more data of all types of scenarios and build a model. But that's not always possible because you don't want to deviate the process by which the power plant is working. So what they have done is that they have built a simulator which will give more data. So they have got some actual data. Using that data, they have built a simulator of the system. I mean, sort of digital twin of the system, and use that to get more data. Now, the problem is that this simulator works on only the type of data that you have given. Now, if you use it on out of distribution data, you do not know how much you can trust the output. So, they have considered that in the later operation. But basic idea is that they have got some historical data for the offline data, and then they have used a simulator built on that data to collect more data. And using this data, they have combined data, they have trained a reinforcement learning model to decide how to control the power plant. So I found this total system very interesting. So I have limited understanding of the different components of the power plant, but if you permit, I'll talk a little bit about the portion that I understood. So what they say that the TPGU, because you people are experts, I'm not, but in this paper they say that their TPGU has these three major stages: the coal pulverizing stage, the burning stage, and the steam circulation stage. And in order to build the model, both for the simulator and for building the controls, they have considered all these different stages and what are the different control parameters and the requirements of each stage. And they have identified what are the important constraints and what are the important controlling parameters. For example, for the coal pulverizing stage, they say that the amount of coal should meet the demand load. Then the valves of the cold and hot air blowers have to be adjusted to ensure suitable primary air temperature. These are some constraints. For the burning stage, they say that the valves at each of the injection location, the 20 to 48 locations, they need to be controlled precisely. And then there are safety and regulatory issues that need to be guaranteed, so that you have this pollutant norms, negative internal pressure, they have to be maintained. For the steam circulation stage, they said that the steam generated needs to satisfy multiple temperature and pressure requirements, which are controlled by the valves, etc. So whatever it is, so in a typical plant, there are a lot of different components, and they have their behavior, and they have what are need to be done. This is only partly part of what is reported in the paper. There are several other things. So there are many such number of control parameters. So what they have said is that in their work, they look at about 70 to 100 major continuous control variables and the chemical properties of the coal, that is the input materials. Now, I'll take a digression. I'll talk about the very basics of reinforcement learning. In reinforcement learning, so then the basic form, we assume that the underlying model of the system is a Markov decision process, where at a particular point there is a state, And when you take an action, the system changes state in a manner which is stochastic, but which is Markovian. That is, the next state is not fixed, is not necessarily fixed, not deterministic. It may be stochastic, but it only depends on the current state and the action. So, and you receive a reward. For example, if there's more production, there's more reward. If there is more pollutants produced, then there is penalty. So reward and penalty are there. Policy is how the system is behaving. When you're controlling the system, what are your control actions? So you are trying to understand that each state, what is the action that you should take? That is the policy. That is what you want to learn. And your objective is given by a value function. Value function combines the reward and penalty that you get into a function which you want to optimize. And the policy that you have to decide is that action at every state so that this value function is optimized. So for this, the underlying model is taken to be a Markov decision process, which has states, actions, rewards, transitions, and value function. And the way you construct the value function, there are different ways. One of the most popular type of value function is the discounted sum. So R0, R1, R2 are the rewards / penalties at different time steps. And they are added by taking a discounted sum. So the reward now is not discounted. The reward next time step is discounted by gamma, next time step by gamma square, where gamma is a number between 0 and 1. So this is your utility function which you want to maximize. And the value of a policy at a state is the expected utility. Why expected? Because the system is stochastic. You don't get exactly the same output when you give the same input, but it behaves in a stochastic manner. So you want to do the expected utility. Now, there are various reinforcement learning algorithms. One of the offline, what they use is offline reinforcement learning. What is that? They first, based on the data that they have, offline data, fixed data, you learn a model. Basically, the model is an MDP. You learn the parameters of the MDP. What are the parameters? You know the states, you know the actions. You have to learn the transition function. That in this state, if you take this action, what is the probability distribution of the next state? You also want to understand the rewards. In this state, this action will give you this reward. So, based on the data, you learn the MDP. And then once you have the Markov decision process, there are some standard algorithms using dynamic programming where you can find the optimum policy of an MDP so that at every state you can maximize the value function. And for that there are two standard algorithms like policy iteration, value iteration, etc. And we'll talk about this later. Now, for an TPGU that we talked about, the state that they have taken is the chemical property of the coal and sensor data, including temperature, pressure, wind, water volume, etc. So this is the state they have taken. The actions are the key control variables that impact the combustion process. We talked about that. They have taken 7,200 different control variables. And the reward function is a weighted combination of combustion efficiency and reduction in NOx emission. And the cost function, they have safety constraints, etc., which are the regulatory norms. Now, based on this, as I have told, they have first, in order to augment the data, they have built a simulator. Even to build this simulator, they have used a data-driven machine learning approach. Okay? Again, I'm not going into the details, but they do an approximated dynamic model to generate future states. And in order to build the simulator, they do not build one monolithic simulator. Rather, for these three different stages, they have used different machine learning models based on the parameters, etc., and using an RNN, LSTM, fully connected network, different types of neural network. They have built the simulator, which is faithful to the data that they already have. But as I said, they may not not guaranteed to work well on the out of distribution data. Now, once they have built a simulator, so that's why this is called an imperfect simulator. And they have also, to build a reinforcement learning system, they have a cost critic, because they have to, abide by different regulatory norms. So the cost critic to enforce the safety constraints, etc. And also they take into account the risk of the simulator, because when the simulator works on out of distribution data, you cannot trust it fully. So they quantify, they also model the risk. And based on that, they have built a reinforcement learning model which can decide the control actions of all the 7,200 control variables. And they demonstrate in this paper that they have used this control on 4 different large thermal power plants in China, and they have quantified the improvements that they have got. In most cases, they have got a reasonable amount of good amount of improvements by using this process. So this shows that, in the power plant, they have been demonstrated that the use of machine learning has a lot of, people have used it and they have found a lot of benefits, and there are a lot of potential of using further systems. With this, I will stop. Thank you.
He joined NTPC in 1985, and he has worked 35 plus years in the areas of erecting, commissioning, and maintenance at various capacities. Presently, he is the director at Duragen Energy Private Limited.
Last week, in a conference, the CEO of eBay has addressing to the many company CEO. There, he was telling, quote, if you don't have an AI strategy in your company, you are going to die in the world that is coming, unquote. Means the AI will be a very, very essential tool for all the organizations, and we are here discussing about the thermal power plants. Again, I am very much thankful to the organizers to choose such an futuristic topic and deliberation on that. I am from the power plant side, and just now we are hearing from Madam, who is an expert on AI side. So this platform we can utilize as how better way we can implement this AI in our organization, especially in the thermal power plants. Friends, just this will be my content of discussion. I am presently from a company, Duragen Energy Private Limited, so I'll just tell about brief about that. Then AI technology and its applications. Already we have heard a lot of things, and then role of AI to transform the power sector. In Indian power industries, how much AI implication or applications has been done, advantage, area of concern, and presently how much AI implementation as our company can help to the power industries, that we'll discuss, and the way forward. This Duragen Energy, very few words I will tell that we formed this company is a very nascent stage. In the January this year, we have formed this startup company by all the ex-professionals from power sector, energy sector, and mainly the aim to sustain sustainability and productivity and some value-added products. We have a very large number of professionals with us, 4 verticals: energy management verticals, environment verticals, digital transformation and automation verticals, which is related to today's discussion, and another is consultancy and audit. So now in this topic, that artificial intelligence, already we have heard about that, lot of things. Artificial intelligence in the broad way is it refers to the ability to a machine which which can exhibit a human like intelligence, and this AI comprises of artificial neural network, machine learning, deep learning, and data analytics. This artificial intelligence started from 1950s, and first funding has been given in 1956. But after 56, there was turmoil, lot of ups and downs. But in the 2012, when this deep learning came into picture, then it has a lot of confidence and a lot of work was going on in the around worldwide, and a lot of fundings are coming in that. So that is the background of this artificial intelligence. But the requirement we are discussing here is about our power plant. The artificial intelligence is the intelligence of this machine or software. Already we have discussed a lot of things on that. There are many applications, and day to day in small mobile to medical science, and very much broad way we are in entertainment world, we are seeing the applications of artificial intelligence. Now coming directly to the power sector, how we can use this artificial intelligence. Actually, when the thermal power plants are facing some challenges, these challenges came from that introduction of renewable energies. So when the renewable energies has come, so that time we have seen that whatever the technical minimum operation and all these things will be a very tough operation and complex operation. Whatever the control systems are designed, that control systems are not capable to control this conventional control, are not capable to do the proper control of these parameters. So when we are talking for 40% technical minimum without oil support, so that time also we can see the variation of mainstream pressure, mainstream temperature, and the static portion of the pressure parts, all these things. So that time we have seen that yes, some intelligence or some artificial intelligence is required, and around the world, yes, it is available, and we have seen that some adaptive control over above our present advanced control, we can adopt that and we can control this process parameters very effectively. So that is one of the area. So handling complexity of the control system. Then asset management. Asset management, that whatever in this swing of this power, this load generation, so there are a lot of fatigue, so your breakdown will be increased. So how proactively we can do the maintenance, so that our asset will be available, healthy all the times. So this asset utilization is one of the major area. Other than that, there are security and integrity area, that also AI can be used. So these are the areas. So AI can help us to tackle these challenges in an effective way. So predictive equipment failure and reducing downtime is one of the area which is now need of the hour. Assisting asset management with automated root cause analysis. So you'll get that automatically your root cause analysis will come to you, so you can focus your maintenance on that area. Then supporting complex control system or automation, enhancing human and process safety, and smart grid management, already it has discussed, and cyber threat also we can prevent from this AI. So this predictive maintenance, by detecting the anomalies, that we are taking the current sensor based data and we are fitting this data to the digital twin or digital replica, and they are continuously we are comparing that, and whatever their anomalies that we are predicting, and this with this anomaly detection, very early stage we are predicting this, yes, that is there, and yes, there is a catch on that, there is a chances of false alarm. For that, our maintenance engineer has to be very careful about what the measurement, what the input sensors we are taking, because AI also taking that sensor for their digital twin, so that measurement point has to be very accurate and reliable. With that, this type of comparison, we can detect the fault, and we can well ahead of the breakdown, we can do the proactive maintenance. So it is advanced to the predictive maintenance, we can do the proactive maintenance to this digital twin. Here, the severity of the problem, description of the fault, then processing method, everything will be coming to that real-time visualization and monitoring this thing through the digital twin. So everything is done on that real-time mode, and we can get this data. And I am giving you an example that in NTPC 2016, one discussion with three reputed OEMs who are doing this type of AI support. We have discussed with that, and a catastrophic failure of 3 stations were captured, but we don't share the data which project it was not given. But the data of earlier 6 months data and earlier 1 year data we have shared with that agencies, and you can be surprising low with their modeling and detection. They are coming out that before 6 months this could have avoided with their prediction. So such type of tools are available, and such type of analysis can help our availability and downtime. Safety and security, these are one of the area, and some of the Indian station also adopted this AI along with this smart CCTV camera and your drones and this your vehicle movement monitoring, the height, then PP violation with the smart helmet and all these things. These are already implemented in 1 and 2 stations. That is also giving a very good safety awareness and your security also. This area actually that we are discussing that now the your regulation is coming for net zero, so we have to do the proper control of all the parameters. So your coordinate control, steam air temperature control, then SOx, NOx control, and all these things are very stringent now. So with that, so now we are, whatever you would see in the control system in 90s, 99, you must be hearing about Dr. Shiv Kumar of BHEL. He has invented one, he has patented, that is your state variable control. That time superheater, reheater, state variable control was very popular. Then afterwards there are a lot of changes, and then people try to control more effectively. So that time some anticipatory control model of Siemens and Honeywell has come. So now there are advanced stage, there is a adaptive AI control. This adaptive AI control, it will sit on the top of that any control model, and and whatever this set point will be set from that model, it will be continuously superimposed of that set point. And there you can say the self-tuning AI platform will increase the RAM rate, startup time, reliability, the thermal stress, that is more important, and it will be addressed by all these things. And there are two things, this model can be on premises or on cloud. So that is one thing that I'll come in that whatever that your disadvantage or some doubt in our mind, so that is coming in that. So for that we are at India level, at our power sector in India, we are not at available still now, not able to avail all the facilities here, but very piecemeal basis, some of the applications are already there. So Indian industries, the real-time safety violation detection are there. What I am telling, it is already there in the night, day and night, 24/7 basis. Then automated anomaly detection system of asset through drone. There mainly heights. Then your ASDIC monitoring, any defect in ASDICs, all these things are monitoring through that. Then AI ML based advanced pattern recognition for predictive maintenance. So already some of the major organizations like Tata Power, then Rosa Power, they are already using this advanced pattern recognition. It is having a very big for power and for AI, and they are using this technology. And this technology actually, what they are telling, it is very advanced stage of alarming. When DCS alarm is giving as a static value of DCS alarm is there. However, every time this advanced pattern recognition is making equipment wise generating the patterns, and whenever the data of this measured value and this predicted model value is there in a deviation, and this deviation is more than the threshold, immediately it will give a anomaly, or you can say it's a alert. From this alert, if you attack that, you can see that in one of the incident, one ID fan, normally what we have seen, the ID fan bearing temperature high alarm is 95 degree, whereas in one of the Tata Power I have visit, that this ID fan detect the alarm at the time when it is crossing 65 degree. So that time our maintenance engineer has got a window and attack on that equipment, and you can save the money and save the breakdown. So in that way, that company is daily at the 24 hours basis, one report they have generated, avoidable cost on breakdown. And if you see this avoidable cost and breakdown is so much, so this, if you put your this AI technology or APR, your payback period is only 2 years. So this way it is there. Then what we have discussed our digital twin. So this digital twin now is based on boiler, turbine, everywhere you can make a digital twin and continuous train the digital twin, and from that digital twin it will get the feedback to the boiler, and it is very very useful for combustion tuning, combustion optimization, as well as your when you are doing a good combustion control and combustion tuning, so your emission level and all these things will be come down automatically. Mill dual digital twin is very effective, and HP piping also. Then this, some of the power station already using this AI based boiler tube early detection system. So whatever that ASLD we are using, that acoustics tube leak detection system, along with a small AI, we can validate that, and we can early detect the boiler tube leakages. But it is tube leakages may be there, but it will save that secondary damages. So in the early stage, you can attend the tube leakage, and we can save the secondary leakage. Then hotspot detection in switchyard with this smart AI and your CCTV cameras. Then another area in India we are using that uh, cold stock cold stock management and the firing, the instantaneous firing and sprinkling through that smart AI based cameras. Then training module also AR augmented reality and virtual reality based training module for particularly during the overloading time, particularly this VR module of turbine. It is very useful. And the cyber risk assessment and control, this is also a part of AI which can detect any time any penetration and whatever the cyber risks are there, that also can be controlled and prevent by this AI. So as we are saying, our company also offering the such type of asset management through AML, predictive maintenance package, security and safety, online hotspot detection, then complex auto loop tuning, cyber security awareness, then IoT based combustion customized solutions we are doing, and lot of good reputed AI vendors are already with our solution providers are along with us, and domain expert along with us. So with this we are also having this pool of domain experts with us. So way forward is that we have to adopt this AI or ML for our process optimization, asset management, conditioning monitoring. Then overall equipment effectiveness will be improved, predictive maintenance to proactive maintenance, cyber attack prevention, and your preventing losses. Continuous loss prevention has to be there, and energy management system has to be there. This is the ultimate goal for any organization, and AI and ML will help us in this regard. So I think with this, thank you everybody, and thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I would now request the last but one speaker for this session, Professor Kamal Sarkar, an alumni of Jadavpur University, having done his BE, ME, and PhD from that university. He is now a faculty, a professor at Jadavpur University in the same department, computer science and engineering. His areas of interest and research are machine learning, deep learning, data analytics, natural language processing, etc. So can we request Dr. Professor Kamal Sarkar to come up and make his presentation?
Engineering or power science. I'm actually belonging to the AI machine learning domain. So I will give you some idea in this area, that is the renewable energy forecasting using machine learning and deep learning. So I have already, the Professor Sudeshna Sarkar has already presented some basics of AI. So I can recommend you that she has a NPTEL lectures on AI and machine learning. So if you are interested in machine learning, you can follow his lecture on the NPTEL. It is a freely accessible. So okay, so now you are expert in energy and also the power. So you all, if you are know that the energy in a generation is mostly comes from the fossil fuels, and also you know the impact of that kind of power generation on the environment, and you also know, you're familiar with the greenhouse gas effect and also environmental pollution and how it is affecting the global climate. So now we have to look for the sustainable development for meeting the present needs without compromising the chances of future generation to meet their needs. So one of the drawback of the existing energy generation system that is dependent on the fossil fuels, it is already known to you. So we need to explore the renewable energy sources, and renewable energy sources that are actually the alternative supplies for the future energy management. So why we should focus on that? Because it is clean and it is green and it is also beneficial for the protection of the environment. So all of you know that there are different sources of renewable energy: hydropower, biogas, geothermal, wind and solar power. So one of the important problem in renewable energy forecasting is the uncertainty. And you know the uncertainty comes from the high fluctuation and unpredictability of the renewable energy sources, say the solar energy or wind energy. You know, the uncertainty in wind, uncertainty in solar, sunlight. Due to this fact, there is some uncertainty in the renewable energy sources. So now, if we are actually, how our system can be customized, how our system should be integrated with the renewable energy renewable power. So the point is that due to this integration, so if the forecasting can be done accurately, particularly the short-term forecasting can be done in a short time, then the power grid operator can operate the grid in proper way, and that can minimize the production cost also. So I have limited knowledge in that power domain. So how it can be actually integrated in reality, that is the topic of research. So now I am going to so what was the actual different types of algorithms which is actually applied for the renewable energy forecasting? What were the earlier methods before deep learning or machine learning? So earlier methods were the physical methods and the statistical methods. The physical methods actually depends on some physical laws, some equations, and say for example that you know that Doppler effect. Doppler effect is nothing but that can be represented by some equations. So that was actually dependent on some mathematical equations. And a statistical method, say for example autoregressive integrated moving average. There is an ARIMA model that is very popular in forecasting domain. So autoregression means it is nothing but a regression that predict the current value depending on the past values, past y values, and it is actually the combination of the two module. And second module is the moving average. The moving average is actually used to smooth the transition of prediction. So by combining this model, both model, the ARIMA model can be actually applied. But one of the drawback of this ARIMA model is that is actually dependent on a single variable. But sometimes the forecasting does not depend on the single features or single variables. And so we have to depend on the machine learning and deep learning methods, which is my today's focus. So what are the drawback of the physical and statistical methods? So it does not work well for the non-stationary data. Non-stationary data, it does not work well for the cases where the data is a high dimensional and the relationship between the input feature and output is complex and nonlinear. So in that case, this physical and statistical method is not actually, the existing method is not applicable. Just to look at the figure, you will see that this is a stationary data. It is periodic in nature, and so it is a mean, the what is called the stationary data. Stationary data means the mean and variance is constant. But in case of non-stationary data, the mean and variance is not constant. It is variable with time. So for the non-stationary data, the ARIMA models that I have mentioned or the statistical existing model is not applicable. That is why we have to go for the machine learning and deep learning model, which is more powerful for handling the high dimensional data. And also it is very powerful to learn the relationship between the non-linear relationship between input and output. So now, I have observed that in the particular in this domain of forecasting, is most of the work, research work, is actually nothing but a supervised learning. So Professor Sudeshna Sarkar has already mentioned that what is the meaning of supervised learning. Okay, so I am not just repeating the same thing. In supervised learning, the target is to map between the input and output, and the input and output, the data should be represented in this format. Just to look at this format, the data should be represented in this format. This is the input and this is the output, and this is the input, this input output pair that should be given as a training data to the model, and model will automatically learn the relationship between the input and output, and how this input and output are actually related. That will be automatically learned by the machine learning algorithm, and the corresponding model will be given as an output. So it will be, I have seen that most of the forecasting model are actually regression problem, and there are some. So now I am going to a framework of a machine learning model. Just to look at this, the traditional machine learning model. So this is a training data set that you are providing to the model, and the training data set is a nothing but a pair of input output pairs, and you are submitting the input output pairs to the machine learning model, and there is some preprocessing that should be done on the input, and then there is a feature representation or feature extraction, and then the data should be represented to the input vectors, and the feature vector should be labeled, corresponding label should be given, and then the training data should be prepared, and this training data should be provided to the machine learning algorithm, and machine learning algorithm will give us a trained model. During testing time, the test data that should be again go through the preprocessing, feature extraction, and the vector conversion, and that will be submitted to the trained model, and the model would predict the output value. So this is the architecture, or this is the framework of a traditional machine learning model for the energy forecasting. So now I will little bit give you some examples on the different phases of that. If you see that, what is the meaning of preprocessing? So data must contain some noise, because the world is not noise free. World is not friction free. Similarly, the world is not noise free. Noise must be there. So you can handle the noise in some way, and you can remove, and sometimes the domain expert can help to identify what is the noise in the data and what type of data. Sometimes with the help of noise, and also there is some automatic technique, something like data clustering or that type of technique. We can also anomalous data can be removed from the data. Normalization is also very, very important. Data normalization, there are different types of normalization technique. One of the very simple technique is known as a mean max procedure. So you can subtract the mean value from every value and divide the value by the max minus mean. So this is the normalization process you have to do. In many cases, it's observed that some of the data are missing. So how to handle the data? How to handle the missing data? So it is not the wise decision to reject the entire example. So we have to fill up the missing data. There is some technique for doing that. Second point is the data sampling. Data sampling is very, very important because if the data is not balanced, then sometimes it creates a problem. So data sampling, data decomposition, that I have previously mentioned that your signal may be non-stationary. So sometimes it may be decomposed into a collection of stationary signals. So if we can decompose the non-stationary signal into multiple stationary signal, then we can apply the existing model, existing statistical model to the individual stationary data, and then we can combine the decision of those models together. So that this can be done. And the data augmentation. Data augmentation is a very important part because in particularly electricity domain, as far as I can understand, that data is very limited. So limited amount of data is available here, and also data collection is a very, very difficult task. Nobody wants to publish the data because data is a very private thing that is very authentic and private. So there is no regulation in India. I don't know whether is there any regulation in India to release the data, particularly thermal data or electricity data. So there is a very limited amount of data. So now how to work with the limited amount of data? So one of the technique which is data augmentation, and by that we can create the more data and that can be added to the training. So now second was a feature extraction. The feature extraction or feature is a very important part because you have to identify which feature is more important to differentiate. So now there are different type of features. In traditional machine learning, the features are handcrafted. Handcrafted means the domain expertise is necessary. So you need to consult with the domain expert, and domain expert can tell you that what type of feature is more important for your prediction. Just you take some examples. The different types of here in this particular work, Ibrahim et al. 2012, they have actually developed a solar radiation prediction model, and the feature they have applied the average daily maximum minimum temperature. This is the feature they have identified. Somebody can argue that this is not the features which is suitable for that. There are more features. You can think more feature. And another work in 2012, they have actually observed the historical data from the previous years and the sunny day, foggy day, rainy day, cloudy day, and the different weather report that has been considered as features for the data. So for the model. So now the features, and they have developed the different types of machine learning model for forecasting the photovoltaic power output. So now after identifying the appropriate features and extracting the feature values, the raw input should be converted to the feature vectors. This is nothing but, feature is nothing but a vector of the values of the features. So we have to collect the vector of the values of the features. And now you just go through, it is a summary of some of the work that I have identified and the features that has been used. So I have already mentioned the Ibrahim et al. And he has already used this type of features. And another work you see, the wind power prediction, that was a work is actually done in 2021. They have used the average wind speed, average ambient temperature. This too has been used as a feature for that. So now this is a very interesting one. They have compared many machine learning algorithms, linear regression, logistic regression, loss regression, elastic regression models. But the 21 different features they had extracted from the different weather conditions: humidity, temperature, precipitation, snowfall amount, cloud coverage, wind speed, wind direction, wind gust, angle of incidence, and different features they have actually applied. So now, since the 21 features they have collected, then they have applied a PCA. PCA is a principal component analysis technique by which the feature can be, a 21 feature can be reduced to a certain set of most important significant features. All those features may not be important. Some of the features may be more significant. So how to identify which features are more significant, which are not? So PCA can help us to identify the more significant features from the given set of features. So, and finally, it can produce some uncorrelated features, which is obviously less than the dimension of 21. So in this work, they has applied this kind of features. So another work you see, the machine learning model, in this 2016, this work has been carried out. So they have used the hidden Markov model, and also they have used this model for short-term solar irradiance. I know that you know the meaning of irradiance, the power per unit area. So short-term solar irradiance prediction. So the different type of the features they have used, the solar and weather information collected using sensor. They have set up the different type of sensor, and that sensor data that is being sensor output actually used as a features. So now another model, the same research group, 2022, they have used the support vector regressor. Support vector regressor is another machine learning model, and they have used the two types of features in radiances of sunny and no cloud days. So they have taken a series of days, some sunny days and some cloudy days, and they have calculated the irradiances, and this data has been collected. And using the data, they have trained a SVR or support vector regressor, and then they have been able to achieve the better performance than hidden Markov model. Although the hidden Markov model is a very interesting model for handling the sequential data, instead the SVR, they have shown that the SVR perform the better the SVM. So another work is 2022. They have used the two different model. One is a support vector regressor, another is a random forest regressor, and they have also applied for the short-term solar irradiance prediction, and they have also used the solar and weather information collected using the sensor. And they have also shown that the support vector regressor are performing the better than the random forest regressor. So in this particular work, it is clear in this small survey, the support vector regressor is a better model for predicting the different types of energy forecasting. So now I am going to the deep learning. So the deep learning is actually, if you have to say anything about the deep learning, I have to say initially mention the neural network. So a neural network is actually a category of machine learning model that are actually inspired by some biological neural networks in the human body. So it has a different components, input layer, output layer, and also the number of hidden layers. And ANN can be applied for classification and regression, but in case of forecasting problem, particularly energy forecasting problem, obviously we will actually rely on the regression, ANN for regression problem. So now, what is called the deep learning? What is called the deep learning? It is nothing but a neural network. And according to the Andrew Yang, a ANN having more than 2 hidden layers can be called deep neural networks. So this is the basic definition, but in today's world, there are different sophisticated deep learning models are there. That is a convolutional neural network, LSTM, long short-term memory neural networks. That are the different types of the networks which is suitable for forecasting, energy forecasting. I will show you some example of that. So what is the actually utility of this kind of model? It can learn very complex relationship between input and output. By increasing the number of hidden layers, we can learn more complex function. So the complex function is nothing but a mapping from input to output. So actually this kind of neural network is actually can help us to learn the complex relationship between output and input and output. So now the complexity may be controlled by the increasing the number of hidden nodes and number of hidden layers. So that is the beauty of this model. So just to look at an example of neural network, how does it look like? It is actually a shallow neural network. It is a shallow because it has a 2 hidden layer. Just first layer is the input layer and second layer is the output layer, and there is a 2 intermediate layer. So this layer, this model can be trained using a algorithm. The known of the algorithm is a backpropagation algorithm. Using this algorithm was actually invented by Rumelhart and the Hinton in 1986. And using this model, this model can be trained. So you have some input vector and you have some output vector. So if you submit some input and if you pass through the network, you will get some output. Now, by comparing the input and output, you will get some error. So now, depending on the error, you adjust the weight. And there is some forward pass and there is some backward pass. In the forward pass, you are submitting some input and you are getting some output, and you are comparing the predicted value and the desired value, what you want to have here. So you are getting the error. So depending on the error, you are adjusting the weight. Every connection has a weight. This connection has a weight, this connection has a weight, and this is known as the model parameters. So this model parameter should be adjusted through forward pass and backward pass, forward pass and backward pass. So after a certain number of iteration, or which is actually known as the epoch, this model will be able to learn the relationship between input and output. Now, whenever some test data will come, test data means you do not know the output, you know the input only. And whenever the test data will come, if you submit the test data here, it will give you the prediction. So this is the neural network, how it works. So the backpropagation algorithm is a very mathematically sounded algorithm. So this discussion is not there. So now another important aspect of the deep learning is the automatic feature learning. So I have previously mentioned that in the traditional machine learning, the features are handcrafted. You need some domain expert. But in case of deep learning, you don't do the handcrafted feature generation. You don't have any feature engineering. You have to submit the raw data to the model, and model will automatically learn the feature, and it will do this everything. So now you see here, it is a CNN. So there are it is known as a convolutional neural network. So convolutional neural network can be of two types. It can be 2D, it can be 1D. So 2D, if your input is 2D, then you have to apply the 2D CNN. If your input is 1D, then you have to apply the 1D CNN. So for the image analysis, we apply the 2D CNN because image is a two-dimensional data. But forecasting, our data is a one-dimensional. So since the forecasting data is a one-dimensional, we have to apply the 1D CNN. So if we apply the 1D CNN, the CNN has a different types of layers. This is known as a convolutional layer, this is a max pooling layer, this is a flattening layer, and this is the neural network. So if the input data is submitted, there are different type of filters. The filters are actually work on the input to detect the features. The filter is nothing but a certain kind of window. This window will be set up on the input, and that will be actually applied on the input to detect the features. And after detecting the features, you will get, if you apply the multiple filter, you will get the multiple feature maps. And now all those features which is generated by convolutional layer may not be useful. That is why you are using some max pooling. What the max pooling layer is doing, the max pooling layer is picking up the more significant features from this group. So now after that you are apply the pooling. So you are selecting the more significant features from this section, then you are concatenating them together for flattening layer. So after flattening, you are getting a single vector, and this single vector should be submitted to the deep neural network. I mean, it is a fully connected neural network that I have shown you earlier, and then you will get the output. So obviously, that in case of regression problem, the output should be 1. The output should not be 2. It is a classification problem. Output should be 2, but there is some mistake here. In regression problem, the output should be 1 because it is a y value only. We have only one y value. So this portion is actually known as an automatic feature extraction, and this portion is known as a classification. So you see that in case of deep learning, that it is automatically learning the feature from the raw data. You are submitting the data, and this portion is actually learning the feature from the extracting the feature from the data, and this is the classification part that is actually applying. So now here's another model, the CNN LSTM model. So CNN LSTM model, you see, there are another two kinds of network. This is a CNN and this is a LSTM. So CNN is a neural network that is focused on the local information, and LSTM is a neural network which is known as a long short-term memory network that is more suitable for temporal data processing. I mean, in case of forecasting, the temporal information is very, very important, and the LSTM is very, very useful for processing the sequence data. So forecasting data is nothing but a sequence data, and the time is an important factor, and temporal information is an important factor. So using the CNN, we are doing the feature extraction, but using the LSTM, we are actually focusing on the temporal information. I mean, and long-term dependency. So that is why by combining this model, the CNN and LSTM, the performance of the forecasting can be improved. And this work, that the paper that I have mentioned in 2022, they have shown that by combining these two, the performance of the forecasting for solar PV output can be better than individual CNN model or individual LSTM model. So now, this is more efficient. CNN LSTM model is more efficient compared to the individual LSTM model, but it is overall their observation is that there are some situations, because there are, you see the 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week prediction. So there is a time frame. So they have observed that for some cases the CNN is better, and some cases CNN LSTM is better. So either CNN or either CNN LSTM model is actually performing better than any other model they have compared. And also they have compared the traditional models, I mean the statistical models that I have mentioned, and the physical model also with the CNN LSTM model, and they have observed that the CNN LSTM model is performing better for this kind of forecasting. So another deep learning model is actually known as the autoencoder. Autoencoder is also important because sometimes it is useful for to reduce the dimension of the data. So dimension of the, whenever you are working with a high dimension data, the thumb rule is that if the data size increases, the dimension of the data increases, the model complexity increases. If the model complexity increases, the model will likely to overfit. So that is why we need to reduce the dimension of the data. So autoencoder is a deep learning model that helps us to reduce the dimension of the data. And in some work that I mentioned here, that is they have applied the autoencoder to reduce the dimension, and then they have fine-tuned the neural network we are using that reduced data. So now another model is also I have observed some of the researcher has already used that is actually the ensemble. Ensemble models works better performance than shows better performance than the individual model. In ensemble model, the many models are actually combined together. So now there are the different types of common ensemble technique. So bagging, boosting, and stacking, these are the different types of ensemble technique. So the idea is that in case of bagging, so it is observed that the slight fluctuation in the training data, the model performance may be hampered. So any kind of machine learning model, slight fluctuation in the training data, the model performance may be hampered. So in bagging, so different instances of the training data is created through the sampling process. There are two types of sampling process. The sampling is actually known as a sampling with replacement and sampling without replacement. So sampling without replacement can be applied to create the multiple instances of the training data, and with the different instances of the training data, we can train the different models, and finally we can combine the decision. So it is observed that the variance of the model can be reduced by this process. So bagging is actually kind of ensemble model It is a combination of multiple models, and that will obviously perform in many cases. It improves the performance of the forecasting results. So So LSTM and CNN that I have previously mentioned, it is also a kind of ensemble model, because LSTM is a deep learning model and CNN is a deep learning model. So whenever we are combining the both, so then they are improving the performance. But whenever we are going to combine the different types of model, we should keep in mind that the model should be complementary. I mean, the one model will help other. So no, it is not that the model A is better and model B is also better, and if we combine them, both will be better. It is not always true. So whenever we have to combine the model, then we have to think about that whether they are complementary to each other. So an excellent survey can be observed. You will find it is on deep learning and machine learning for power forecasting. It is available on the. So now the limitation and challenges. So I have already mentioned that one of the important limitation in power domain is the limitation of data. I mean the scarcity of the data. I am not sure that what amount of data is actually available in India. I did not find any website, and I did not find any website where from the electricity data or power data is downloadable for research. I did not find. Not only that, I have observed that there are different types of data exchange protocols. So I'm not sure about that, whether is there any data exchange protocol in the India, and whether the government organization are thinking about that, because this power data is a very private data. So obviously data is a very big issue for developing machine learning model for any kind of power operation or power generation. So, and second one is a data quality. Data quality is very important. I am getting some data and without thinking about the quality of the data. So quality of the data should be obviously data should be quality. Quality data is very time consuming and difficult to collect, and data must be authentic also. And any deep learning model is actually data hungry. So if you don't have a huge amount of data, don't think about the deep learning model. So I have a small amount of data, 20 or 30 data. I am thinking to apply the deep learning model. So it is a wrong decision that you are doing. So if you have a huge amount of data, then you go for deep learning. So deep learning is a buzzword. So I have to apply the deep learning for solving my problem. Otherwise, the paper will not be published. That may be the motto, but that will not help in actual situations. So you have to collect data, or you have to generate data. You have to develop some protocol for collecting the data. I am not sure whether smart meter is permitted in India or not, and there is a many debate regarding the smart meter. I'm not going into that debate. So otherwise, how you can collect the data? How you are collect the data? So third, and data. Another point is that. And second challenge is that how to deploy the deep learning model is a real-time application. Okay, because in a laboratory, somebody can develop some forecasting model. It is working fine, but whenever it will be actually deployed in the market, how it will be integrated with the grid system, and how actually what will be the prediction, what will be the accuracy of that model, that sometimes varies. So the performance of the vaccine in the control environment and performance of the vaccine outside the environment is far and far difference. We have already know that what is the efficacy of the vaccine during pandemic period. So it is something like that. The deep learning model or the machine learning model that you are testing or you are developing in your control environment, and whenever you are going to deploy in the actual situations, the performance may vary, because there are some other factors associated with that may not be in mind at the time of designing the system. So now, an important problem regarding the deep learning model is that deep learning model is a black box. So what is going inside, it is not explainable. In a power system, there is some issues that need to be explainable. Why it is saying that it is better? Accuracy, say it is accuracy, forecasting accuracy is 90%. Why it is 90%? Particularly, one of the speaker has mentioned that to find the root causes. So if whenever you are going to find out the fault diagnosis, then we have to find out the root causes. So now we need the model should be explainable. So that is another important point. And in case of grid system, the external attack is a very, very important issue, because somebody or some external agency have the tendency to collapse the grid system. So if the deep learning model is going on or running, then it is very, very vulnerable to adversarial attacks. Adversarial attacks means a slight modification or minute alteration to the input data to make the deep learning model fail. So in that situations, this entire grid system may be collapsed. So now, whenever we are going to deploy the deep learning and AI, we have to be cautious. And another important point is time over. Okay. So another important point is that you should keep in mind. In a real-time applications or real-time power system implementation, I think that the collaboration between the industry and academia is necessary, because industry knows the power system. Academics sometimes doing some research. So those should both the groups should come together and sit together to find out the solution. Then only it can be fruitful. Otherwise, I'm not sure. So now, in conclusion, I can just want to mention few words that whenever the AI should be applied in any sector, initially that will lead to joblessness. Somebody will lose the job. Okay. So now my suggestion is that, or my recommendation is that, to identify the sectors where actually the AI should be applicable. Okay, why should be applicable? That region should be actually identified properly, and AI should be useful to empower the employees, not to replace the employees. This is my all. And any questions?
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And in fact, we would now go on to the final speaker before lunch, Dr. Arindam Rai. He's the Chief Technology Officer of Bangla Shohayata Kendro, which is the Personnel and Administrative Reforms Department of the Government of West Bengal. He has a very keen interest in applying new technology for system optimization. And indeed, he's in the process of implementing artificial intelligence, blockchain, and machine learning in e-governance of Bangla Shohayata Kendra. We welcome Dr. Arindam Rai. And since time is becoming increasingly, we are getting increasingly late. Therefore, it is unfortunately Dr. Arindam Rai's responsibility to bring us back into schedule.
Morning and even good afternoon together, I'm saying, because almost we are going to around 2 p.m. Okay, let's dive. I'll be discussing about this intelligent renewable energy, how we can use this. But we are having a multiple or different level of students and different stream of students. So I prepared my presentations in such a way so that everyone can be easily understandable. Let's coming down to the directly topics. Why we use renewable energy? what's the process, how the smart grid uses the AI, and in the generation of smart grid or generation of power, we are having some set of steps. So only we can explain about the generation. So the renewable energy, we know these are the benefits. We are having a lot of benefits are there in a renewable energy. Let's coming out the reasons. One, which reduces the greenhouse effect. Second, we reduces the climates. That also affects the environments. Then also in the energy diversities and the portabilities. Now we are coming down how we can increase the differences. Say in 2030, probably we'll be able to equate with the renewable energy and the traditional energy. Let's coming down to the some of the important things that when we are going for the generating of the renewable energy, what are the main core things? Number one, that we have already explained that it's the power grid or in the photovoltaic cells and the power cells, solar panels. Second one, we can use this wind wing. Third one, we can say there are the some of the aspects what we can go forward with the hydro energy. See, we are not called commonly familiar with this hydro energy. It is there in the underground of the water. Now we can go forward with this energy, with the geothermal energy. Now I'll be showing you where the geothermal energy works over there. See, in the geothermal energy, internal thermal, we can retrieve that one, and the hot water and the stream we can pass for the generating of the power systems, but it is already there. It's not like that it's in a hypothetical image. It's already there. Our India government has already initiated this one in Ladakh. In the Pugra Valley, it is already available. Now they are already started this. Very shortly, it will generate the power. Now I am coming down to these are the several energies. Now I am coming down the grid. How the smart grid works. There are the 6 different components in overall. We can have it. But in all these 6 grids, these 6 components, this is a metered advantage of the advanced meter infrastructure, two-way communication. That is very important. That how the two-way communication works, that will show over there. Then there some control is required over here. Then renewable integration. See, here you can see. Let's see this image, how it works. There is a generation plant. From the generation plant, it comes to the grid and to the house. When it is coming down, it is in a one way. In this one way, we cannot use. In the one-way communication, we cannot use this artificial intelligence or anything else. It is a complete manual process. But now, if anyone is using this one, we need some information should be retrieved from the home. But how it comes down, then some reverse information should come to the power generation system so that it can manage this distribution. So for that one, we are having this both-way communications. And we are having additional components that we can add more different resources, versatile resources we can add it. As of now, what we are thinking about, there's only the power, physical power, or only the thermal power. Not only the thermal power, in the same grid, we can use the multiple different resources into the system so that we can accumulate more and more energy. Later on, here we have added some solar systems over there. We can add the wind systems over there because these are unpredictable because as per the weather, it changes. Now I'm coming down showing you this is our power system and these are some of the houses over there. Because currently we might have Currently, we might have the minimum requirement, and that's why one power generation is working. If the requirement is exist or if it is increased, then what will happen? See, what will happen? Automatically, the number of other power generation systems will be start working. In this way, the intelligence works. And if you think in one scenario, there are one power generation systems are there and three grid and routers are there, and we are having a number of different houses and homes. But in some certain conditions or natural calamities, some of the grids or this part of the grids are not able to work. Then how it will happen? We have to wait until and unless this grid works perfectly or this grid now becomes inactive. So what this intelligence works, the intelligence changes the different routes and automatically provides this houses the powers through the different routes. That is another importance of intelligence. The different components of intelligence works there. And for that one, we are having a continuous monitoring at the generation sets along with the smart systems of our homes as well. So these things are also working over there. So all these smart systems together is changing, monitoring, and it can decide how much works or how much energy is required over here. So if you're coming down the process, there is a generation, distribution, storage, and maintenance. If we're talking about this generation, distribution, storage, and maintenance, these are the complete process of the power. But I'll be talking about the generation only today. Say in generation, these are the steps. Collection of the data, feature selections, modeling, algorithm selections. These are the several process step by steps we are having, and over this all the process after end of the feedback loop, the entire system works. So in case of data collections, there are so many components we are considering as when we are interacting or collecting the data. Number one is weather conditions. It is very important. In each and every weather condition, weather is different from the different places, and we are very much that we in our India, in everywhere the climates are not same. So what we can do, we can have a weather conditions. Depending on the weather conditions, the generations of generation of power may vary, because we are using the renewable energy. We are having a multiple sources of energy, so that's why this data collection is important. The equipment performance is also important, and energy consumption pattern is also important. And we can go for the feature selections also. There are some of the weather temperatures, sunlight hours, and all these things are required, because wind speed is also required. So these are the features we required for the AI generations. Now we are coming down to the modeling. So we know there are several model techniques we can use it, but out of which these are the several models we can use for the power generation. But here we are not going into the deeper in the individual learning models. Now we are coming to the algorithm selections. In the algorithm selections, what we are having, there are a number of different algorithms that we can select based on the requirement of the analysis. Now we are coming to the performance monitoring. That is a very, very, very important thing, because until and unless we can maintain or monitor the performance, we cannot predict the intake and the output as well. So for that one, we need data analysis very rigorously. Now we are coming down the optimizations. Optimization is very important, because until and unless we can optimize, because there might be a number of parameters, so all the parameters are conflicting together, or more than a number of parameters we are having. If we need to see this one, we need to minimize the power, minimize the light. If we minimize the light, something is not visible. So in this way, we can have a dynamic management. Now we are coming to the risk management. That is also important thing. When your power leakage is there, and sometimes this power, if anything is happening, mistakes in the power, then entire thing will fall down. So another thing is there, and then another important thing is the real-time data analysis. That is also very important, as because when we are interacting with this, the real-time data analysis is required. So when how much it is used, how much it is not used, because sometimes when some in our scenarios in our localities, if some big event is occurring, and at that point of time, at that particular evening, huge power required. So at that prior informations we are not providing to the generation or the distribution company, then what will happen? And that point of time, some issue may occur, some power cut, some shortage of things may happen, and that's why we need a online instantly importance of real-time power generations. That is also important. Now we are coming to the feedback loop. That is the last phase of the power generation, because once we generated the power, then we need the feedback of the what that we have distributed and what are the coming back into the systems. Now we are coming to the distribution process. The distribution process already explained, but we are not going into the detailed distribution process, because distribution power generation is one part and distribution is another huge work. Because until and unless we can generate or distribute the power in proper way, so that it cannot be mitigate our issues or mitigate our requirements. Now after that one, storage, because when we are generating our powers, we cannot store the data, but in case of renewable energy, we to some extent we can store data in our systems. But when if we want to able to generate our powers, we can store, but a big amount of data we cannot store. So therefore that one, to some extent, when the high requirement is there at high requirements time, we can store the data. So that is also important part. Another is the maintenance. Maintenance, we should maintain the proper scenarios, proper authorities and proper formulations in regular basis, so that we can get the informations or we can maintain the quality or the output properly. So finally we can conclude the artificial intelligence is very important and required for in every sections, in case of power divisions or power sections as well, as that we are also using number of things, but it should be maintained and in each and every sections in a proper way and proper fashion, so that we can use this. And for that one we can conclude that it is also the technical involvement or growth of economy is there. Also we can generate the job, because it's not like that in a road job, but we need a technical technicians or skilled people, because in each and every sectors we need a skills people. Until and unless we don't have a skill, we are not having a job, because everywhere the common people we need a skill, because in entire scenarios we required skill for that one. Okay, thanks to all of you for understanding and listening this one. I hope this one is okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arindam Roy. Thank you very much. May I request Mr. T.M. Joadar to kindly come up. He is the advisor of Engineers Welfare Forum. He will be presenting the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. On behalf of organizing team of Engineers Welfare Forum, WBPDCL, it's my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks in this occasion. My heart fills with gratitude and respect for our chief guest, Padma Shri Dr. Sanghamitra Bandyopadhyay, Director, Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, distinguished guest, Mr. Devkumar Gupta, Director, Finance, WBPDCL, Sri M. Raghuram, Director, Technical, DVC, distinguished guest speakers, Dr. Sudeshna Sarkar, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur, Dr. Kamal Sarkar, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Jadavpur University, Engineer Ashish Dev, Director, Duragen Energy Private Limited, Dr. Arindam Ray, Chief Technical Officer, Government of West Bengal, Engineer Rajiv Das, Consultant, CESC Limited, for not only sparing their invaluable time for us to grace this occasion, but also enlighten with their commendable talk on the subject. Thanks all of you for clearing our concept and enhancing our understanding pertaining to the seminar Artificial Intelligence Technology in Thermal Power Station, its advantages and disadvantages. I am running short of words to express my humble thanks to Swastika for doing poster evaluation for us. You have provided us with valuable support in enriching the Engineers Welfare Forum seminar. My heart goes out of thanks our respected delegates for accepting our invitation, coming to the seminar, encouraging the morale of the speakers by their gusto and enthusiasm. Without your kind presence in the seminar, we would not have accomplished what we had dreamed for. Next, I would like to thank the torchbearer of this seminar, our respected General Secretary, Sri Engineers Welfare Forum, Sri Soumen Das, for leading and inspiring us in working towards the goal of conducting this seminar. I thankful to him for his huge support at all times. Not even can take shape without hardworking leaders. It was the dedication and enthusiasm of our leaders and organizing secretary, Sri Arindam Ghoshal, which has made this event a huge success. I extend my heartfelt gratitude for them. Conducting this seminar would have been impossible without zealous efforts of Sri Midul Kanti Bhaumik, who has devoted lots of time and energy this program. Above and beyond lots, let's not forget the backbone of this seminar, our organizing committee member, finance committee secretary Sri Prashanto Sinha, and reception committee member Sri Ashim Sena, Sri Arup Kanti Das, Sri Arindam Ghoshal, Sri Soumyajit Datta, who went an extra mile and walked their tail off under the guidance of General Secretary Engineers Welfare Forum and made this dream a reality. Thank you so much, everybody. Furthermore, let's have a special recognition for all volunteers providing their help at the registration counter. I am very much thankful to the sponsoring agencies WBPDCL, Bengal Naturals, AIA Engineering Limited, DVC, WBPDCL. It would have been impossible to organize this seminar without their support. This vote of thanks would be largely incomplete without expressing our gratitude for Madam Madhumanti Moitro for her flawless anchoring in this session throughout the day. Again, this vote of thanks would be largely incomplete without expressing our gratitude for the other staff members and department who have working really hard and carrying out all the allotted duties very diligently. Needless to say that Swastika has taken care of the audiovisual system very sincerely so that the seminar could proceed without any interruption. Next, I would like to thank our food partner, Sri Sudhir Maiti and team. Without you guys, this event was not possible. Thanks to our photographer, Ideal Studio, who has taken beautiful pictures of today's event, which would ensure that beautiful memories of this seminar would remain fresh, not only in our minds, but also on photo paper. I sincerely apologize if I have missed out on somebody. Thank you again, all of you. That's it.